Good morning, YouTube. Nice to see you today on Dash Detailed. I'm so excited to be with you, and I'm actually sitting here with my bags packed in my car because right after this show, I am headed down to Phoenix, Arizona for Dash's open house. I guess I could say maybe the first annual open house. I hope so. I hope that there are other open houses held in perhaps other countries sometime in the future. So yeah, it's a good, exciting day. Thanks for joining me. So without further ado, let us get started with business and headlines because there is so much today. And I've made a nice, well, I haven't made, Pete has made a nice little banner for you here. Yes, isn't that nice with the audio element combined with the visual element? Business and headlines. Okay, so from the top, the exchange BitPanda is now supporting Dash. And if you had never heard of BitPanda, I hadn't either, it turns out that they used to be called Coinimal, which I had heard of, and they've rebranded to BitPanda at some time. Oh, Pete, you wicked, wicked man. I see there's a little portion of the troll box visible on my screen, and now I'm seeing all of these people typing, so now I'm gonna move this screen so I can't see that anymore. Okay. Good morning, troll box. Hello, welcome. Happy to have you. So, BitPanda previously sold and bought just Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they have recently added Dash. And so what you may want to know about BitPanda is that they will buy coins from anybody in the world, but then they only sell at this time to European customers. So European Dash buyers, your Dash buying options just expanded. Groovy. All right. Next, actually, I have news of another exchange, and this one is called, at first I didn't even know what this was. Someone called it an offline exchange. So it's called MaRSe, and it's in Moscow, Russia. And they also have just recently added Dash. They sell to you in person. You know what? Don't even listen to me. I have a video to show you. It turns out that MaRSe is probably the coolest place in the whole world because it is an in-person exchange with the walls painted in the style of one of my favorite artists, Mondrian, I believe is his last name. One of my favorite paintings anyway, that's why I'm not sure on his last name. And then next to this exchange is a bar that has, it's a crypto museum. Let me just show you. Better do what you can, so beat it, but you wanna be there. Is that the coolest place or what? I thought so too. So yes, so this place is now selling Dash. They got hooked up with Dash after speaking to dear beloved Dash core team member Alex RU. And yeah, so if you live anywhere near Moscow, that is the place that you should be going. Maybe I'll move to Moscow because that is a place I would like to be going. And please allow me to back up for just a moment here because I wanted to show you, let's rewind a little bit, back to BitPanda. I didn't show you their buying methods. I want to show you that because they support a lot. Yeah, so apparently you can pay via Amazon, Visa or MasterCard, and then all of these other sorts of fancy ways. I remember on the DashPay subreddit just last week, someone was asking, does anybody know where I can use my Neteller account to buy Dash? Now you know. All right, and then next in business and headlines, Dash core team member, business developer actually, Daniel Diaz recently made an update regarding the long-awaited major exchange that has been set to launch Dash for some time now. His update looks a little something like this, and I'm going to read a quote from it to you. So in particular, he says, it's important to notice that the trading pairs will be ninja launched over the next 2 weeks or so to avoid speculation around this. Do not expect the new exchange to open operations on the 30th or the 1st. and I didn't know what ninja launch meant. So I asked, and I'll tell you what Daniel said. He says, ninja launching means that there is not a set date, and so the trading pairs are randomly launched to help avoid the hype and speculation that set dates can sometimes cause. So this is all very interesting, and so I hope to have the announcement for you of what the exchange is whenever it happens. But if you happen to notice something get ninja launched on your own, maybe you'll tell me what the exchange is. I don't know. Okay. And then finally, in business and headlines, there is a new business newly accepting Dash. And let me show you who they are. So this is called Bitcoin Spinner. And they have these various games on their site, various like casino type games. And they used to be Bitcoin only, and now they accept Dash. And there's an interesting little story, I would call it a flippening story, behind this company accepting Dash. And they sent me an email about it. And I just want to show you the email because it is so telling. All right, hey Amanda, love your show. I have a cryptocurrency game, Bitcoin Spinner, and it's also using Dash now. By the way, players started to use Dash because it's much faster. Many old players are switching from Bitcoin to Dash. We all love Dash. I watched your shows and you mentioned so on. Okay, here's the clincher part. By the way, if anybody plays with Bitcoin on our site, they receive a letter that says, for instant transactions, use Dash. From Linda. A little bit of flippening happening. All right, let's move on to development updates. So first you should know that 12.1.4 was released within the past week, and a large majority of the masternodes have switched to it already. As you can see here, about 77% of masternodes have updated to 12.1.4. And then about 20% are still on 12.1.3, and then a very, very small portion of this pie are on other versions. And yeah, that's really all I had to say about that. Moving on. Oh yes. Also, Daniel Diaz. Daniel Diaz has been publishing things like wild as of late, because he's also just published the long-awaited legal research regarding both, well, not both, it actually regards three things. So 2 law firms were commissioned by the Dash Network, were paid by the Dash Network to research 2 different areas. The first one was Cooley Law, and they have published this research on both the tax treatment of Masternode payouts, as well as the legality of Masternode services themselves. And then Cogent Law, on the other hand, published this information here that has to do with sort of ATM compliance in general for people who want to sell Dash in an ATM. Now, mind you, these legal opinions were written as according to US law. Obviously, that is just one country, but that seemed to be where most of the demand was coming from in terms of seeking these opinions. So yeah, if you're wondering what Cooley Law came up with, what Cogent Law came up with, of course, the links are all included in the description below. And, oh, this reminds me. Okay, so I was looking more into this research, and I saw that Chris Coney, the host of the Cryptoverse, had published a sort of commentary on some of the research himself. And I saw something at the end of Chris's video that I had not seen before, and I thought it was another bit of a flippening moment. And I'm opening it for you now so that I can read it to you. Of course, I'm also going to show it to you. Please forgive me while I pull this up. I meant to have it up already. Okay, so at the end of Chris's videos, you can see... Did you change it, Chris? No, you didn't. Okay, so at the end of Chris's videos, this is what you see. It says, Pay as you go with Dash tips. In the highly unlikely event, joking that the Bitcoin network is busy, is slow, and is demanding transaction fees that are almost as much as the amount you want to donate to me, just go ahead and use Dash instead. Okay, so yes, wow. Moving on. Chris Coney, you funny man. Now finally, in development updates, I want to tell you that our dear scam watchman, Tungfa, spotted yet another scam. And this scam is posing as Exodus wallet. They're posing as a web wallet. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't even think Exodus has a web wallet. I think Exodus is like something that you download to your device. So anyway, the scam is located at exoduswallet.io. And this is not to be confused with the real, not scam, Exodus wallet, which is just exodus.io. So again, exoduswallet.io, that is a scam, as well as the infamous by now dash-wallet.com, also a scam. So yeah, be sure to steer clear of those, and if any poor person you know happens to maybe be looking to stumble upon them, you'll definitely want to steer clear of those as well. Okay, let us go to price movements. Now, I see here that we have a current US dollar price per coin of $84.55. The 24-hour trade volume, then, it has been about 18 million US dollars worth of Dash. Our coin supply is just under 7.2 million coins, and our market cap of today is 608 million US dollars. So let us go ahead and look at the market cap chart from the last 3 months. And the last 12 months. And then let us look at our lifetime chart, or rather lifetime market cap chart. Yeah, so you'll notice that the price per coin anyway is about 15% lower than it was last week and the week before. And I never would have known about this if dear old Tommy Cordero hadn't made a post about it on Steam. What I mean is I never would have known that there was this sort of giant dump on Poloniex, and dear old Tommy Cordero made this sort of service announcement in a Steemit post. Let me show it to you. I thought it was pretty... He says, today is the day to buy Dash. In case you haven't noticed, about $1 million worth of Dash were just dumped on Poloniex in less than 15 minutes, bringing the price down to the low 80s. This is what a lot of you have been waiting for, so I'm giving you a heads up. And this was just a couple of days ago, so that was indeed a nice service announcement, Tommy Cordero. Thanks for that. And yeah, now that it's time to move to network statistics. Aight? Okay. So, our network is seeing, no, this is not an all-time high. I think the most masternodes we ever had was something like 4,400. Because I remember I was in Mexico. It was right before the 12.1 release. Or rather, I'm sorry, it was right before 12.1 enforcement. So before 12.0 nodes were kicked off the network, I think our all-time high was something in like the 4,400s. But in terms of having been on 12.1 now and only 12.1 supporting protocols being on the network, I do think that we are currently at an all-time high for masternodes, which is 4,244 masternodes. So if you'd like to see what that looks like in our lifetime chart, there's that. And in mining, today our hash rate is 2.83 terahashes per second. We can compare that over the last 3 months as well. And the year-long chart is here. Whoa, that's a market cap. Did I just click the wrong thing? I did just click the wrong thing. Sorry about that, guys. I meant to show you Oh, it's because this damn... Alright, so you'll notice today I'm using an external mouse. And this computer, I'm usually used to using the mouse pad on it. And they spin in opposite directions. And so I'm going up when I mean to go down, and I'm going down when I mean to go up. Is this the hash rate 12-month chart? No, Peter, it's not my bad, it's your bad. But let me see if I even have the hash rate lifetime chart for you. Yes, I do. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on track. Very good. Now, also in network statistics, I want to tell you that we have about 3 days, let me rewind. We have about 6 days until the next super block, that is, until the next treasury payout. And I learned a little something yesterday, which is that the voting deadline is almost a full 3 days before the treasury payout. Thank you to core developer Timothy Flynn for giving me this information. So, as it turns out, the voting deadline is 1,662 blocks before the super block. And 1,662 blocks comes out to be about 69 hours, if my calculations are correct, or just under 3 days. So yeah, so you have about 3 days to vote as of now, and then 6 days until payout. That is, if you are a Masternode owner, a Masternode voting person. And speaking of Masternode owners and Masternode voting people, there is a new development on the dash.org/forum, and that is that you can indicate, if you choose, you can prove that you do own a Masternode. And let me show you what I mean. See that little badge right there? So Moo Cow Moo made that possible. And he did so at my request, which was so great of him. And the reason I requested it is because so more pre-proposals have been coming into the network lately, which is cool and groovy. But something I noticed is that in the comment sections of these pre-proposals, there was no way to tell who was a Masternode owner and who wasn't. And so that, in a way, that kind of defeated the purpose, because these proposers, the point of their post is to get as accurate a gauge as possible of whether their proposal would pass. And so if you have people who aren't voters saying, you know, like, this is totally awesome or this is totally horrible, that doesn't help the proposer at all. And so, yeah, so if you do own a Masternode, and if you are willing to get this badge on your profile, it could, you know, and if you're the type of person who is so kind as to provide feedback to people's pre-proposals so that they know how to proceed, I think that would be most helpful. And then, you know, on the flip side, for any of you people who have made pre-proposals or intend to in the future, you'll want to pay extra attention to the comments left by people who do have that Masternode badge, because it means that they are proving that they do, in fact, have a vote that will affect your proposal. Very good. Very good. And now to social happenings. And I want to start out today's social happenings with just a little PSA. It actually came to me at, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, and it kept me, I just ruminated about it for maybe like, I don't know, 30 minutes. But anyway, let me begin with a little PSA. And that is that, so I saw a little message. So I'm a moderator for the r-pay subreddit. And I saw a little message the other day. One of my fellow moderators had issued a temporary ban on some account after they had made some comment or multiple comments. I'm not even sure. And this person, I don't know, sent us a sort of message saying censorship or whatever. And so I wanted to invite any of you who are perhaps coming to Dash from Bitcoin, which is a lot of us, maybe most of us, right? To perhaps remove and this is not my phraseology, I snagged this from somebody on Reddit, to remove your Bitcoin colored glasses when looking at Dash. And let me tell you what I mean. So first and foremost, I would have to, much as it pains me, I would have to have one point of disagreement with the super awesome guy, Roger Ver, when he tweeted something to the effect of the censorship in Bitcoin forums has been, the worst thing that has ever happened to Bitcoin, or has caused, stunting of its growth or whatever. And I would totally disagree with that, because if one is conducting one's most important governance communications on a place like Reddit, on a censorable place like Reddit or a Bitcoin talk forum, one is already past the point. One is mistaking the branches for the root of the problem. The root of the problem being that you're having your governance communications on a place like Reddit instead of a place like, oh, I don't know, your blockchain. And so I would invite you to relax a bit about the whole who says what on Reddit thing and what are the moderators' beliefs and what are their policies, because important governance decisions are not made about Dash on Reddit. Thank the Lord. We make them with a combination of our blockchain. That's where we embed proposal hashes, as well as local Masternode storage. That is where we record votes in real time on those proposals. Now, that said, just because we don't make important governance decisions via communicating via Reddit, doesn't mean that certainly the DashPay subreddit couldn't be improved. I have no idea. We actually have no idea what the masternodes think of the various moderators or the various policies on the DashPay subreddit. Why? Because no one gets paid in relation to the DashPay subreddit. Now let me tell you what I mean. As an example, we can be pretty certain that the masternode operators, the voters, the Dash network, all of these terms being synonymous, we can be quite certain that the Dash network more or less supports the moderation going on at the dash.org/forum. How do we know this? Because it is moderated by members of the Dash core team and their payout has been approved for this month. Similarly, we can more or less assume that the Dash network supports the moderation policies at the Dash Nation Slack. How are we able to assume this? Well, because the Dash Nation Slack's treasury proposal called Dash Force is also being approved for this month. And this extends to anything. You can more or less assume that the Dash network supports the content that's delivered to you here on Dash Detailed. Why? Because the treasury payout for Dash Detailed has been approved for this month. And so if you're the type of person who is super into Reddit and you really believe that the DashPay subreddit could somehow be improved, and you want to know, what does the network think? What does it want? The only way to tell is for there to be a treasury proposal around it, right? That's the only way that Masternode owners are able to express their approval or their disapproval about something. So yeah, so long story short, the DashPay subreddit is currently moderated by volunteers who have no feedback mechanism from the Dash voters one way or another. If you are interested in adopting a different sort of moderation policy and making the subreddit a different sort of place and you want to get paid for you and or your team to do that, that is a proposal that you could put into the network, and then we would know once and for all, how does the Dash network think that the Dash subreddit should be moderated? The end. I can see Pete snoozing in the corner. All of you wake up, Trollbox, wake up everybody, the PSA is over. All right, so moving on in social happenings, some Dash owners, some people who own Dash, recently put together some funds to sponsor an MMA fighter. And the fighter's name is Davis dos Santos. He's from Brazil. And he has this fight where he is going to be wearing the Dash logo on his tight bottom and on the back of his jacket. That's coming up on April 7th. I've not yet found out whether it's a sort of live stream that, any of us can watch, or whether it will just be like on various local television stations. I'll find out about that and I will let you know. In the interim, Dos Santos has a little message for us.
Dia 7 de abril, não esqueça de conferir aí, galera. A Dash, obrigado, boa noite para vocês todos. Abração.
I would like to watch that. And finally, in social happenings, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the first ever Dash open house at the Dash office spaces at the SkySong Innovation Center just outside Arizona State University is tomorrow, Thursday. And yes, there will be a live stream. It will be here on YouTube. So the live stream will begin more or less around 6 p.m. that time, and I believe Phoenix is on Pacific time, which would make it 9 p.m. Eastern, 6, 7, 8, 9, yep, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then I had that written down in UTC for any of you who feel like staying up super late or getting up super early, depending on where you are. I believe that's 1 a.m. UTC. So yeah, and if you missed the live stream, no problemo. It will remain up as a video, a viewable video, just like this episode will remain up as a viewable video. Excellent. All right, my friends, I really think that is it for today. I wanted to thank all new subscribers who have recently taken this channel up past 10,000 subscribers. Yay to you. Thank you for your subscribership. And in case you wondered why you don't get notifications after you subscribed, it depends on your settings. So I just wanted to show you a quick little video. If you want to get notifications now that you've subscribed on YouTube, you have to click the bell. I'll show you what I mean. You have to click the bell. So when you subscribe, it shows a little bell, and then you click the bell, and then you tell it that you want to receive notifications for the channel. And it's more or less the same with mobile. And then you're able to tweak settings from there. Like, do you want to be notified every time a channel leaves a comment? Do you want to be notified every time a channel likes a video? Or do you just want to be notified every time they upload a new video, etc., etc.? Although, allow me to bookend that with the fact that the cool kids would actually just subscribe to my personal weekly emails. And you can subscribe to my personal weekly emails where I will just email you the video. You don't have to worry about this notification stuff. I'll just email you the videos every Wednesday and Friday. Just send an email with the word subscribe in the subject line to amanda@dash.org. All right, and I invite you, one final thing, I invite you to come back, well, of course, tomorrow for the live stream, but also this Friday. It will be our third in the Spotlight series, the Dash Detailed Spotlight, and I will be speaking with Splawick21, the inventor of trusted Masternode shares. The fourth? Pete's telling me that's the fourth Dash Detailed Spotlight. Shame. Dunce. All right, that's it for me today, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.